Since you had such a professional background, not wrestling, before wrestling, in your first year or two, what did you find like easiest to come along? The actual in the ring work, or the actual like playing to the crowd and the whole like?
I think playing the crowd is more difficult coming from football because football is strictly performance orientated.
Right.
You're graded, every game and each play and on film and whereas in wrestling it's more ambiguous. It's not just what you do. It's
psychology.
It's psychology. It's how does the crowd react to you when you walk out? They're listening to see how there's a buzz. There's I say the interaction with the crowd there's a lot more to that than the actual wrestling part of it. But I'm not dismissing that. You should work. I always worked hard in the ring.
Right.
You say my work, but whether it was a house show and a small house show anywhere, and what I did, I didn't cut out bumps. I didn't, I'm paying for it now probably, but I never. I always worked hard. The best of my ability.
Right.
And I always thought that you owed the crowd that, whether it was a bad crowd or a good crowd.
Right.
The people that did pay deserved a good effort in there. You know what I mean? So that was always my philosophy.
In your first couple of years, what did you find that you liked better, being babyface or heel?
I always think it's easier to make people not like you than it is to make people like you.
Mm-hmm.
Which is part of what we talked about earlier. We kind of touched on going back and forth. And it gets harder the more you go back and forth.
Right.
To be a good guy.
Right.
Because there's always going to be that contingent of sign carriers, and they might be 1% of the crowd, and everybody else might be with you, but they're the loudest, and they know where the hard camera is, and to try to bury you on TV or make it look like you're not liked. Either you're supposed to be liked, that kind of thing. So, I think it's more difficult to be. But I was always proud I was able to, semi-pull it off. People seemed to like me out pretty well when I was babyface most of the time, and people. When I was a bad guy, they got with that too.
Right.
Pretty much. So I felt fortunate that way.